You're listening to Am I the Bolcast, the only podcast about Magic the Gathering that you're listening to right now. It's me, Mike Carosa, the host, the guy you've come to know as the guy that tells you whether or not you're the villain. What's up, Bolcuts? It's another episode of Mikey with a guest. But before we get to them, I am going to do some very quick sponsor stuff off the top. Of course, just like every episode, this podcast is sponsored by CardSphere.com. CardSphere, get your cards here, baby. Get the referral link in the description, sign up, and get to trading your cards. CardSphere is where your cards are your wallet. So go out there and get the singles. TMNT just came out. There's a lot of people cracking those packs and just kind of like not knowing what to do with those cards, but I know what to do with those cards. I'm very excited about it. The designs are sick, but the art makes me sick. Anyway, CardSphere.com, get at it. BoneBoxGames.com, also where you can get great deck boxes. I've found last night until like 2 a.m., I ended up brewing a brand new deck because I was sick of seeing the porcelain bone box deck not have a deck that fits it ready and as its home. It looks gorgeous. You can use Bolcast as your promo code for a little something off the next time you order from them. BoneBox Games, bunch of sweeties. Shout out to Jesse and Evan, always cooking up something cool and interesting. So that's it. Sponsor talk is over. CardSphere and BoneBox Games, you guys are sweetie pies. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Today, it's another interview episode. That means Michael and Morgan aren't here with us today, but shout out to them. Shout out to Recommander.cards, gamesfreaksa.info, and edhrec.com. Shout out to Morgan and Michael. I miss you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. But this isn't one of those episodes. You know how it is. An interview, Mikey with the guest. And today's guest, I'm very excited about. I am going to let him introduce himself. Let's do this. Hi, guest. Do you mind telling my listeners who I'm speaking to today?
Hi, yeah. My name is Tyler Stodgill. I am the vocalist and guitarist of the band Stars Hollow. So if you're into like whiny emo music that's very, I don't know. What's the word? I don't know. Sad, I guess.
Sad. Oh, that's definitely a better description.
Sure,
yeah.
We'll go with that. You might be into us. We have a new record coming out. I'm guessing we'll talk about that. So thank you for having me.
Let's talk about it now. Let's do it right away. Tyler, first of all, I'm very excited you're here. We're going to get to talking about Magic in a minute, but before I do, I got to say I've been listening to Stars Hollow since I want to say something like 2016. I remember
that's crazy
going on a tear looking for like new bands that are like emo, but in the vein of like interesting guitar work, but not skimping on the whiny screaming and the sadness. And the first album, I'm really not that upset about it. Is what I hooked onto, and I was like, I got to keep an eye on these guys. And ever since, a bunch of EPs, Happy Again, a full length, I Want to Live My Life. A new EP from last year. It made me think I wasn't going to get another project out of you this year, but we've got a whole album, a full-length record coming April 24th, which, if I'm not mistaken, when this comes out, is next week. I have to check the schedule, but it might just be out next week. So
beautiful.
Very exciting timing on that.
Very exciting timing.
I didn't even know the date, and I can't believe this lined up so good.
It's fate. It's destiny.
It works.
It's perfect.
That's right. The first single of this album is I don't want to call it a departure from the older style, but I do want to say that it feels a little bit more it's like it's matured, but in a way that is just not taken away from the core of what I love about Stars Hollow, which is a full, like, you're getting full emotion. Like I love putting on Stars Hollow because there's riffs, but you're also like, how's Tyler doing? Okay, bad again? I feel you, buddy. Let's go.
Yep. How's Tyler doing? Bad. Good. Cool. Yeah. That's spot on. That's spot on. Yeah.
Hey, if Tyler's doing bad, I'm about to listen to something good.
Absolutely. It keeps the economy of Stars Hollow going. You know, it's great. But thank you for that. Like that's all very kind.
I mean it, buddy. It's fun to have you in the rotation. It's like it's a good mix. I mean, I'm blanking on titles because I'll just like throw it on a playlist and kind of just like, let it ride. But I think if I'm not mistaken, I've got Out the Sunroof with Weight, and like it's not that on the same playlist that, sometimes you'll hit shuffle and you're like not sure it's shuffling.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like, no, it's all 3 of these tracks back to back somehow, but I'm not mad at it.
Not mad at it. We're keeping with it. Hell yeah. That's awesome.
I hear them a lot.
No, and I mean, it's so cool to hear that you've like been like a fan since 2016. That's crazy. Like,
yeah, dude.
Not many people stick it out for a decade, let alone like being in a band, let alone, but it's,
I mean, that part.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think it's weird being a band after 10 years at the level that we're at, because it's like a lot of the people that were super into our band and part of our community when the band started in like 2016, they have like families and like they just don't really participate in it anymore. So it's just cool when I get to talk to people who were there for like that time, in any capacity. So yeah, appreciate you.
Oh man, of course. I appreciate you. This is like this part of it. You know what I mean? It's like you find an artist you like, or in many cases artists you like, and you just like, if you connect with them, you keep checking in on them. And like if something isn't connecting later on, it's fair. Like artists grow and tastes change, but there's something about this band, this project here, that I just like. I every time something new comes out, I got it playing. I enjoy, throw a track or two on a playlist, and I know it's going to come up later.
Thank you.
It's very fun. You've got a real gift for songwriting, buddy. It's really nice.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Like I said, CardSphere, a bit different from the older stuff. Like, do you want to tell me more about the vibe on this new record that you've got coming out this month? Like, is CardSphere an indication of where things are headed for Stars Hollow on this new album?
Yeah. CardSphere definitely sounds significantly different. I mean, I think it's still like kind of like you said, it holds some of like those core aspects of our band, but like definitely departs in the way that it's presented, if that makes sense. Like, and a lot of that is because just like in the studio when we were recording, like Gary Sione, who we recorded half of the record, like the guitars and vocals and stuff with, he, like, when I started playing CardSphere for him, he was like, yo, we got to make this like creepy sounding. Like, we need to add like this stuff, like these pedals and these things and all this stuff. And I was like, this is cool as hell, Yeah. And it, admittedly, like, I would say the record is like pretty different than I Want to Live My Life.
Sure.
But also I think that kind of similar to CardSphere, core elements are still there. CardSphere, I would say, is the one that's the most, like, I don't know, like the most departed, while not being like a clear, obvious, we wrote like a heavy song. We wrote like a post-hardcore song. Like, there's a few songs on the record like that where I'm like, I love this genre. Like, why don't I like dip into it?
Totally.
Whereas CardSphere is more of like, it just kind of naturally turned out that way. So departure for sure, but probably less than what people expect as they hear more of the record, if that makes sense.
I'm pretty excited to get into it. Like, I'm, like I said, I'm a fan, so I'll be listening to this when it comes out. And like, it's fun to hear a little bit. Like, my first thought, if like the unfiltered first thought, I was like, okay, they're in their title fight era of the title fight era. Like the shoegaze elements.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, all right. Like I'm excited to see what you guys cook up here on this record, because I'm like, if this is just the taste, I wonder what Flip Phone sounds like, or like what Mementos is gonna be like, because we're so used to on a Stars Hollow record hearing the guitar tone be so like it's like overly clean to the point where that's distorted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you take advantage of that tone to really get across these clear riffs where there's, a lot of tapping, a lot of like a lot of stuff happening where it's a little twinkly. Like, is that a moniker or like a genre distinction that you? Because I know some people bristle at that, like the twinkly Midwest emo thing. But you are literally in Iowa. This is like the Midwest emo.
We're the most Midwest of Midwest. So, no, I don't think I bristle at it necessarily. I think that, like, in a weird way, it's just so like spot on. Like, it's, when I hear it, I know exactly it's gonna be kind of stuff,
Yeah.
It's just spot on. So I don't bristle at it because, number one, I mean, like, up until this record, everything was very twinkly. And I think that you're pointing out a pretty major distinction in that this record is a lot more like distorted and heavy.
Awesome.
Which was a weird balance to figure out in the studio, just because like I wrote everything like very twinkly and like stuff, and so we had to like adjust as we went. But yeah, no, I think it's definitely got. I think you've pointed out a big difference that I didn't really think about that much. That guitar tone wise, it is a lot more like thick, for lack of a better term.
That's fun. Really excited to hear this one. And you can, listeners, get into them. Follow Stars Hollow on any platforms. They're like you're up on Twitter, which I literally the week I messaged you to be like, hey, I just saw you post about Magic. Do you want to come do the podcast? And we were DMing on Twitter. I was like, I gotta get this app off my phone. So I've literally been logging into the browser to be like, what if Tyler sends a message and I don't get it? I just want to make sure I keep checking. But after today, I think I'm free from Twitter for a little while.
That's smart. That is wise. I consider it constantly. Like, yeah.
I finally pulled the trigger off. Like, I've also been toying with it for a long time, but I think it was right this week. And yeah, I'm glad I did it. But at the same time, I'm like, oh no, that is where I meet a lot of people. It's like it is a pretty great platform. It just sucks that it's Nazis.
Yeah.
So that said, you're on Twitter. You're on Instagram also, if I'm not mistaken, and Bandcamp, of course, and all streaming platforms. Make sure to just like check out Stars Hollow, which I'm gonna assume, and I this feels like a pretty direct, but named after the town in Gilmore Girls, or is that like a
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. When the band started, I was in college, very depressed, watching that show every single day, and I was like, that's a sick band name. So we took it.
Hell yeah. Stars Hollow, I'd never seen Gilmore Girls up until recently. Like, this is a couple years ago. My girlfriend was like, I'm giving Gilmore Girls a shot again. I didn't like it back in the day, but it's really working for me now. I'm like, okay, what's it like? And then they go, well, Stars Hollow this, and they're like, wait a second.
You're like activating a sleeper agent or something. You're like, I know what that is.
I had no idea. I was like, oh, great. This band I liked from like 8 years ago, got into them. Oh, that makes a lot more sense now. It is a Midwestern emo band. Why wouldn't there be a reference to something they like? You know what I mean?
True.
It makes sense. Makes sense. But, we've been talking a lot about music on a Magic the Gathering podcast. I think what's exciting is that, like, we're going to rip this Band-Aid off and say, Tyler, you're new to the game. You're new to Magic.
Yes.
It's not a game that you've been playing for years. You're new to it as of, what was it, 2 months ago, you said?
I would say, yeah, about 2 months ago is when I started, like, actively playing Commander.
Hell yeah.
I've been like dabbling in it for a lot longer, like maybe like 8 months to a year, because I would watch like YouTube content.
Yeah.
Because I've played Yu-Gi-Oh for a while, and so just like natural progression of, I wonder what these other card games are like. And yeah, Magic's
and then you stumble on the best one. It's crazy. You stumble on the best one after all. Yeah.
It's it's been a very cool experience, just like learning. I mean, like taking kind of what I know from Yu-Gi-Oh and applying some of those like game, like, I don't know, ways of thinking to this game.
Sure.
And also just, it's just been cool because it's a lot more social than Yu-Gi-Oh is, which I appreciate.
That's the fun part about Commander for sure. I do think, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say you posted, I want to say it was either Joven or Chandler, or there was a red legend from Homelands or something.
Chandler, I think, because it's, yeah. I'm pretty sure Chandler. It was in French, so I don't totally remember.
Okay, yeah.
But it was a red card.
It was a red card in French, and it was like, oh, this guy's posting some real janky fun heat. I want to see what you're getting up to. And then it's like, oh, you're new to the game. Hell yeah, you're already exploring into like this depth of like ridiculous. I'm way into it. So you're playing Commander now. What's what are some of your decks? What kind of commanders are you into?
Yeah. So right now I have 3 that I've built. The first one that I like ever played was Teval, the Balanced Scale.
Fun.
I bought the Precon just to kind of dabble and make sure I wanted to do it. And then played it. I was like, oh, this is really fun. It reminded me of this deck called Tier Limits from Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like a mill deck that's very focused on just like getting lucky, doing some crazy stuff. And so, so I got really into it. My local store had a Field of the Dead for sale, and I was like, that seems cool with this. So, so got that. Now I've upgraded it like quite a bit. It's not
awesome.
It's not like super crazy, and I still have things I need to adjust, but I'm definitely like learning what needs to change and what's not working.
Totally.
And then I have one card that's like mass land stealing that I
mass land stealing.
Yeah,
what's this card called?
Let me find it. It's pretty messed up, and whenever I draw it, I'm like, why am I playing this? I don't want to like be this guy.
It's fun.
It is fun, but
it's an interesting. It's not an effect you see a lot of, and you're already in bracket 3 with the Field of the Dead in the deck, so you might as well have like a little bit more evil fun with it. But
a little more evil fun, exactly.
I mean, first of all, while you're looking for that card, Teval the Balanced Scale is, of course, the Precon commander from the Sultai Risen deck from Dragons of Tarkir. Tarkir Dragonstorm, sorry, and it's a 4/4 flyer Spirit Dragon for 1 and a Sultai. Whenever it attacks, mill 3, then you return a land from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Would be good enough. Guess what? There's more. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, you get a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. So it's like a Tormod the Desecrator effect, which is really cool. Like I have really liked this commander. I think it's a bit more complicated than you'd want something to be for newer players, but even in the hands of like my buddy Max, who's coming over today, actually, he was introduced to the game via Lorwyn Eclipse pre-release and has been ever since just so gung-ho. And he bought the Teval deck being like, there's a lot of cards in this deck that I want to just like strip for parts and put in my other deck that I made. So I figured I'd buy the Precon, try it out, and then strip it for parts. And now it's like, oh, no. You're keeping that deck together, aren't you? He's like, yeah, it's too much fun. It's very too much fun.
I've enjoyed it a lot. Every time that we play, it's always the first one I bring out because I'm like, I want to get at least this out of the way so that I can that's fun. Like have the fun. The card I was talking about.
What's the card?
It's called Gilt Leaf Archdruid. It's 3 and 2 green.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Tap 7 untapped druids you control to gain control of all lands target player controls. And Teval makes zombie druids. So after you make 7 of those baddies, you tap them, take someone's lands.
That's
GG.
so gross.
It is disgusting, honestly.
I assumed this would be a blue card. I don't know why. I just assumed it would be a blue card. I guess because gaining control and stuff.
Yeah, it seems like it would be.
But this is one of those like Lorwyn Morningtide cards that like people forgot until this deck came out and it spiked for a bit, and you're like, great. This is what Magic. This is actually what Commander is all about. Finding a spot for something like really that isn't done very supported, and then it's like, oh no, the perfect home.
Literally the perfect home.
We found it. It's here. Oh jeez.
Because if you have, I can't remember, because there's like the enchantment that lets you make an extra zombie druid every turn, and if you have that out and you're running with Teval, you can get there pretty quickly.
Teval's Judgment, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yep. I believe that's correct. So Teval is
fun.
Is really fun, and I'm loving that. Similar,
what else you got?
Kind of like what your friend talked about. Like, so I bought the Ashling the Limitless Precon.
Hell yeah!
Because I wanted Muldrotha for Teval. And my local store just didn't have any Muldrothas, and I was like, well, I want to. Oh, sorry, editor. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word.
Ken, you gotta say sorry, Ken. Yeah, he's a sweetie pie.
I was like, thanks, dang, I need to get it. And so, but then I started looking through it, and I really liked just these big ETB effects, and just feel like, and also being a Yu-Gi-Oh player, nothing feels better than drawing cards, and the fact that you can evoke cards that let you draw 2, sack.
What do you want?
Token.
Pot of Greed?
Exactly.
Pot of Greed and this
two
and that?
Pot of Greed sometimes, and I'm like, this is so fun. But I've upgraded that one pretty significantly. I have like Urza's Incubator and like other like cost reducers.
Okay. I'm gonna assume you also got like a Null Drifter because you mentioned Mull Drifter as the evoke. Yeah, so you got Null Drifter. Yeah, some really nasty cards in that deck already.
Yes.
But then if you like, Ashling the Limitless, frankly, if big mistake, but so cool.
So
It's
cool.
one of those cards that's just like, what is happening?
Yep. Yeah.
Every time I've
go
played
ahead.
against it, it's been so cool.
Mhm.
It's been such a joy to watch this this deck perform, and yet I forget that I'm sitting across from it and I need to take care of it.
Yes, it's because it's very fun because you get like Animar out along with Urza's Incubator, and you can evoke for like free, and it's then and then of course that puts a target on you pretty significantly, but it's fun. So those two precons that I pretty like heavily upgraded or like swapped a lot of things out, and then I just built a Bria Riptide Rogue deck. It's like
that's the is it Otter that gives everything prowess?
Yes, everything prowess. You can make something unblockable each time you cast a non-creature.
Very fun.
And so so it's just got a lot of other creatures with prowess, a lot of otters, lots of token makers, but also like lots of just like low cost instants, just to get the ball rolling with that.
Yeah.
So I think those are the three that I'm kind of messing with. I've only played the Bria one once, and it was like a nightmare because like when I put a deck together, I keep it all organized first just to make sure I have everything. So I had all my lands together, all my instants. So I went and shuffled before the first game with it, and then shuffled a couple more times, drew my opening hand, and I did not shuffle good enough. Like it was all lands.
Yeah.
Shuffle up, mulligan. Like
you got to mash shuffle like 25 times at least. Right? You're like, damn.
Yep. And
even that doesn't feel like enough.
Exactly. And so I went through the game. I was like, dang, like not to be like it's because it was shuffled bad, but it was. But yeah, and off of those three, I really am enjoying playing thus far, and I just kind of wanted to have at least three so I can kind of rotate if I don't feel like playing certain things.
It also feels like you've got three very different play styles to each other. So like one's a land deck that like likes things dancing in and out of the graveyard. You've got like a token doubling shenanigans situation with the elementals deck, and then Bria, I have to assume you're doing like a non-creature spell / token thing maybe because of the prowess, and like I mean, Bria looks honestly pretty sick. I have a Sanar first year, innovative first year deck, and I think Bria belongs in there. I might have already put it in the list. I just like didn't want to buy a $30 card again. You know,
that's very fair.
This Bria is one of those strange cases where it was available only in like that dual deck product for Bloomborough.
Yep,
and then
that's why I have it because. Me and my girlfriend, I tried to convince her, fiance now, sorry, girlfriend at the time.
Well, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you. But I was like trying to just get her to do something together with me with trading cards, and Yu-Gi-Oh! She refused because she heard me talk about how like complex and how the learning curve is tough and like just things like that. And so I was like, let's try Magic. This is a little 2-player thing, cute animals. Let's do it. And so
let's get in there.
So so I just had Bria laying around from that because I would play Bria and she would play the rabbit one, which the rabbit one overpowered within the confines of that to
really.
Yeah, she was whooping me like just like huge.
I gotta find out what this card is again.
Man, I can't remember what it's called, but it was like the thing with the Bria one is I feel like it didn't have enough ways to trigger prowess in a meaningful way, if that makes sense. You couldn't like double any effects or whatever, whereas the rabbit one was like tons of +1/+1 stuff. And ultimately
if I'm not mistaken, that one like puts counters on everything.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just gonna I'm still looking for it. I can't find it because it's got the Bloomborough set symbol. But it doesn't, for sure. It's not. Okay, there we go. It's Burke, so Byrke, Long Year of the Law, 6 mana Selesnya, so 4 in a Selesnya, Rabbit Soldier, 4/4. When it enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it attacks, double the number of +1/+1 counters on it. Yeah, this can get real out of hand, eh?
Yeah, especially like, ultimately at the time I wasn't good at Magic by any means, and
Sure.
So we were pretty like close in ability, and so yeah, so she was able to just whoop me because it just like snowballed so quick. But
I mean, that's got to be fun still. You know what
it
I
was,
mean? Like,
I was having fun. I ended up beating her one time, and she claimed that I was cheating and that I was making up rules. And I was like, I'm not making up rules. like this is real.
Promise. I swear to God, no rules are being made up.
Yep. And so we haven't played. I don't think we've played since I beat her.
Oh, damn.
So love her to death. Bless her. She's the love of my life. I would say that is one one area where there's games are rough sometimes. I've discovered.
I hear you. I understand that. So it's a fun array of commanders that you got going, and interesting. First of all, lucky you just having the Bria kick around, because now the more I look at it, the more I'm like, I think I'm going to spend $30 soon. I'm going to see if I can trade for it some way. But with Commander, with porting over from Yu-Gi-Oh, coming to Magic, and just like as a new player, fresh off the joining up and getting a feel for the game, I think this might be like a good time for like your first impressions and things that might stand out to you as like maybe a pet peeve or something you really like. We could go negative then positive about, and now of course it feels like the positives will be real easy. It's a fun game, but I'd love to hear from you maybe areas that in your experience so far you might find room for improvement and wonder how maybe. And maybe I've got answers, maybe we can talk about it and get there together, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to write down, because I think I have like a couple in mind, but I want to make sure I don't forget them, because some of my pet peeves are social, like cultural kind of like aspects.
Okay.
That I have pet peeves about. And then also there's things about the way the game works compared to Yu-Gi-Oh, which this is like, if anyone listening to this hates Yu-Gi-Oh, they're probably going to be like, this guy sucks. but so I had this, probably my second Commander game ever.
Okay.
It was just like me, my coworker Travis, who, great guy, work with him, like playing with him. I've noticed that on our like tracking of like who wins, he wins the most, and I've kind of discovered why, and this story will tell why.
Okay.
So we were just playing like a quick game because one of the guys had to leave and other people were still arriving. So he played this Stella Lee wild card deck.
Oh, I am familiar with a Stella Lee.
And basically, you know, second game of Commander, I'm kind of like, okay, usually the game is like a roll into something big and then we go from there, you know. I think he won on turn 3. He had some kind of tutor to get some kind of instant that basically I think went infinite with Stella Lee.
Yeah, it must be Twiddle or something.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember just sitting there like, what? And the thing, so there's kind of two parts to this. The one pet peeve of what the hell? Why are we playing this right now? And then also the card that he had that was an instant or sorcery, I can't remember which it was. It said take control of target creature.
So this is Twisted Fealty.
Okay. So
I'll read it out so people know, and I'll give them the Stella Lee text as well. So Twisted Fealty, first of all, gorgeous art. Okay? Like the most beautifully and black coated art on a red card. It just is like it's Ariette accepting Rowan's sword, essentially, because Rowan was Rakdos and is a little bit evil in the old Wilds of Eldraine, but really gorgeous art. I encourage you to check out Twisted Fealty. Go to Scryfall. 2 and a red sorcery. It's a threaten, so gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. And create a Wicked Roll token attached to up to 1 target creature. If you control another roll on it, put that one into the graveyard. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. When this aura is put into a graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life. So most importantly, the Wicked Roll, when it gets created and attached to a creature, ends up falling off if another one gets attached to that creature. And that aura then is in the graveyard, disappears because it's a token. but when it hits the graveyard, each opponent loses 1 life. And because this is an untap effect, and Celani is a 1 and an Izzet legendary human rogue 2/4. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile the top card of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play that card. Great card advantage, but most importantly, tap Celani, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Activate only if you've cast 3 or more spells this turn. So all you need to do is make sure you cast 3 spells and then play Twisted Fealty. And Twisted Fealty will untap Celani, create a wicked roll token, and then you copy it, untapping Celani each time and making a wicked roll, which, as you know, hits the graveyard and each opponent loses 1 life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy that he got this off on turn 3. That's pretty wild. I would have to, like, if I were to assume, I'd look at turn 4, but turn 3 for a combo like this is CDH territory.
Yeah, and there's a chance I misspoke. It could have been like turn 4. It felt like turn 3, if anything.
I mean, dude, it could have been turn 3. It could also be like turn 6, and still pulling out a 2-card combo isn't like the most fun way to go, you know?
Yeah, and you know, I think so. So here's where the Yu-Gi-Oh player, like Yu-Gi-Oh's a lawyer game thing, comes out. In Yu-Gi-Oh, if a card says take control of target creature, you would not be allowed to take control of a creature you control. That would be considered like an illegal target. Like, you can't do it. Like, just. And so I think my Yu-Gi-Oh brain, getting used to some of the ways that Magic works in small ways, of like the fact that a card doesn't necessarily have to be able to successfully do everything that it says. Whereas Yu-Gi-Oh is much more like you have to be able to resolve everything on the card to the best of your ability at the time of activation, basically. So I think that's been really weird to get used to, of like someone will play something and I'm like, that doesn't seem like you should be able to do that. And they're like, no, you can. And I'm like, I believe you 100%. My Yu-Gi-Oh brain is just like, what in the world?
So the mechanically, like, yeah, Magic is super specific and super like dialed in. So the mechanics of it being ported over does help, considering you're not starting completely from blank. But I guess you'll run into these situations. I hadn't considered that. I didn't realize that something like a threaten effect wouldn't allow you to target your own creature, because essentially it ends up being like, oh, okay, it gains haste and untapped it. You know, like that's it's not as powerful as taking control of somebody else's creature. So it feels like, yeah, technically you're targeting a creature. It doesn't have to be one you don't control. Why not? You know? Yeah. That's how this card ended up being a combo machine.
Yes, very much
one
so.
Commander.
And I think that game was very eye-opening to me, to the fact that Commander can be like that. Like, granted, like you said, you're tiptoeing into CEDH territory if you can do stuff like that like early. But, you know, like in my experiences and just watching like a lot of like YouTube content or whatever around Commander, I just expected that it's almost always going to be this like slow climb, but that's not necessarily like a certain rule, you know, like by any means. So that was very interesting.
Magic's fun in the way that you can like tailor the experience a little bit more, especially like Commander really allows you to get experimental with some stuff. But the moment you're at a point where you're like, I'm playing exclusively to win, then you have to adjust your deck building to match the speed at which you can win within your play group. And it kind of feels like your coworker Travis, if I'm not mistaken, might not have taken into account the speed at which the rest of the table is playing, especially with like a tutored combo piece. That's very, very not my speed.
Yeah, I think that's been a thing that I've had to adjust to in general with like being part of a play group. Is like I've gotten a sense for like what's okay and what's not.
Okay.
You know, because like going into
an example of something that you like you kind of stepped in it and like this is not okay?
So not necessarily from my end, like, you know, like I said, I put this Guilt Leaf Archdruid in my Taval deck. And the reason I put it in is because after playing a bunch of games, I'm like, okay, like, while Mass Land stealing in itself isn't something that everyone's doing, there's some crazy combos and higher level stuff happening with some decks here. And there's not like a lot of like, how do I put it? There's not like a lot of discussion about like power level necessarily. And so you're kind of flying in blind a little bit and then just like kind of vibing out how good it is. And, you know, it's one of those things where I was invited to this play group like very much as an outsider, like it's already been established kind of thing.
Fair, yeah.
And so I'm just trying to like kind of vibe out like where things are at. And so I think through playing and just seeing like the ceilings on some of these things and like some of the combos, it's like, yeah, I think I've had to kind of vibe out what's okay in my decks. Like with my Taval deck, I'm considering putting a couple of like tutors in it just for the sake of being able to keep up with some of the like the people that play like the faster combo-y stuff.
Yeah, fair.
You know, but yeah, I think that's mainly been it. Just kind of like vibing out what is okay and what's not. And I think that like, what is it? We use Mythic Tools for that group. I think to
Mythic
like
Tools.
I think that's what it's called. Let me double check. Yeah, Mythic Tools. It like tracks all of our games. We keep our deck lists in it.
See. I see.
It's pretty nice. But if you look at like win rate, because it shows everyone's wins, losses, win rate, all that stuff, you can definitely tell the people that play almost exclusively the high power decks because the win rates are pretty like far apart, you know. So yeah, I think just kind of trying to find my place in that.
Have you heard of the Rule Zero conversation? Is this something you're familiar with?
Vaguely. I think I've heard about it on like a YouTube video very briefly, but not like...
That's fair. So with the bracket system, which you're familiar with because it's like...
Yes.
We discussed it earlier, and then it's also something that like you kind of can't avoid at this point. It's out there, you know, it's part of the deck construction elements, but... the bracket system is essentially the kickoff for Rule Zero. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think the bracket conversation begins at the table. It begins with your deck building, but also that's where the conversation starts, right? So it's kind of like there are these things that make something bracket 2 that when you add something to it ends up definitely being like, well, this is CDH, or this is bracket 3 or 4, or if you change something, maybe does that bring it down to bracket 1, right? But the idea is I'm sitting down at a table and I go, I built this deck. It is a bracket 2 deck in construction, but with the synergy in it, I would fair to say that it can operate as a bracket 3 deck if, you know, left to its own devices or something. And that's me having the conversation just like, okay, it's Rule Zero time. This is the deck that I intend to play. Does anybody have anything that matches this, or do I have to look into playing something else, or maybe I could feel good about pairing against like going up a level, you know? So it would be kind of like, I'm showing up with this deck. I have played it a ton. I know how it works. It's a combo machine that requires 12 pieces, but once it gets there, it's kind of unstoppable. You show up and you're like, I have this Stella Lee deck that if I assemble the 3 combo pieces, it's game over. And I have tutors in the deck. To me, I'm going to go, that feels like we're not matching the vibe.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think that it's important to rather than vibing out and like kind of living in that like, am I doing it right? Like, you know what I mean? I always advocate for like just a direct conversation about what you're expecting from the game. Not that you have to like divulge strategy, not that you have to like give away too much in terms of like information, but at the very least just be like, using the information and the tools that we have at hand, this is kind of where this lands, and I'm hoping to get through like 12 turns before the game ends, and I'm really not expecting people to lock each other out with like Narset Parter of Veils and Wheels, you know what I mean? Or I'm looking to play a non-stacks game. You can have that kind of open discussion with a play group, especially because it's a play group, where maybe you can say, I think we should all build a budget bracket 1 deck around a commander that doesn't touch any of the colors we play right now, you know, or like you can throw down that kind of challenge, and I think that opens a conversation a lot better than just the Rule Zero conversation sometimes within a play group, because it helps address some of the friction that can come up in those environments, right?
Yeah.
Um, do you have any like you mentioned you had a couple other ones that you wanted to talk about, some other points.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and just thinking about like the Rule Zero like conversation, thinking about it, I think we've had like, I don't know, I think there's kind of this inconsistency in that within my experience so far of like, sometimes someone, like I'll sit down and someone will be like, okay, here's the commander I'm playing. This is kind of what the deck's trying to do.
Sure.
But then others won't. And then I think there's this kind of like, okay, here's what's happening. Or they'll just be like,
Yeah.
yep, commander, let's go. And yeah, I feel like that makes sense, that having more of that like direct conversation of like, yeah, this is what this is, would probably be helpful in that regard. Because yeah, better than vibing it out for sure.
You have watched a bunch of YouTube content for Commander, like you mentioned that off the top. In the beginning of like, if you watch the Spike Feeders, for example, or like game nights or anything, if you're getting any gameplay, first thing they do is they're going to talk about the Commander.
Yeah.
And even if the Commander is like self-explanatory, they still give like a little log line of like, this is the idea of what this is. So like, if I were to head over to edhrec.com, shout out to edhrec, that's where the column lives. If you're not already reading my column, Am I the Bolus? What are you doing here? I don't know how you got to this before you got to the column. But if we go to edhrec.com, and just for the fun of it, we head over to like 3 colors and we pick, I don't know, Jund, right? We're going to go with Jund. I'm going to pick a random commander from down the list here, and we're going to see a non-partner. Okay. Wasitori Nakoru Queen is a 2 and a Jund, flying, trampling, cat dragon, 5/4. One that deals combat damage to a player. That player sacrifices a creature. If that player can't, you create a 3/3 black, red, and green cat creature token with flying. Like, okay, what does this deck really do? We don't know, but we know that the commander gives you Jund colors and makes tokens when it hits in the air. So naturally, you're expecting that because this trigger is a combat damage trigger, that Wasitara is going to get in the red zone and start slamming. So if I were to rock up with this deck and I presented this commander, I'd probably just be like, if you read the commander, yeah, it's a flying cat dragon that makes little cat dragons, and, make sure that you sacrifice a creature. So it's like, it's pretty controlling, but at least it's going to end the game quick, and that's my commander. Even that just like does the trick. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of explaining what the card does a little bit without it being too obvious. Like, for another example, this is actually the perfect example to come up. I can't believe I didn't like pick this one. Are you familiar with the Beamtown Bullies?
No.
So the Beamtown Bullies are hilarious, but also a nightmare. Beamtown Bullies are 1 and a Jund, so 1 black, red, green for a legendary creature, Ogre Devil Warrior, 4/4, vigilance and haste. Very important because it's got an activated ability of tap. Target opponent whose turn it is puts target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under their control. It gains haste, goad it. At the beginning of the next end step, exile it. So the idea is you're giving your opponents creatures from your own graveyard. While this can be built in a way to give your opponents something like big and beefy to swing at your other opponents with, and like make sure that they hit each other, and that's kind of what the design really was pushing for. Just kind of like, hey, here's an Eldrazi with Annihilator 3 in my graveyard, send it somewhere else. That person's going to sacrifice 3 permanents. They're going to take 9 damage. And then I get to do a different kind of one later, that kind of thing. Meanwhile, a lot of people tend to use it as an excuse to run really bad creatures that can ruin a player's game. Like Eater of Days is a 4-mana 9/8 flying trampling artifact creature that says when it enters the battlefield under your control, you skip your next 2 turns.
Oh.
So if you Beamtown Bullies Eater of Days into somebody's battlefield, and it's happening because this is what your ability does, you're giving them a flying trampling haste 9/8 that's goaded and costed them 2 turns.
That's
real mean.
mean.
Real nasty.
That is.
So if somebody rocks up with a Beamtown Bullies deck and you read just the card, you're not going to get the full picture. And so it's always fair to be like, hey, is it that kind of Beamtown Bullies deck? Like, what's the strategy here? Are you doing forced combat stomping things, or are you reanimating the worst of the worst? Am I going to see my library disappear because you gave me a leveler instead of, a massacre worm or something?
Yeah. No, that's a really good example, because that is like, it's such a huge difference between the face value versus what's, buried in the deck and what that actually like means and looks like.
Exactly. I think that I'm glad I stumbled on this one, because it is the perfect example, really. It just is a ridiculous card, and the deck is quite fun to play against, when even if it is the mean one, but you got to be ready for that mean one. And so that's what the Rule Zero conversation is really all about, is kind of getting on the same page of what kind of experience you want to have, right? So this one time a while back, I had friends over, we're playing Magic, and hey, look at that. Doesn't that make sense? So I got pals coming over, and we played a couple games, and one guy kind of just like, turn 5 was like, oh, I have Kiki Jiki in hand, and I just drew the Pestermite, and I didn't realize this combo was still in the deck, but like I win if nobody can do anything. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, sure. It's not fun when that kind of thing happens, and it's something that we can discuss for like the next game,
Right.
And that's like from me. Other people love combos like that. People love 2-card combos. It's why the 2-card combo pieces are usually so expensive, but it's definitely worth having the conversation with people that you're playing with regularly to be like, hey, this isn't my speed, and I'd really like to try to see if you like something a little bit more compromised on this end,
Yeah. And I think like from my end, like coming from Yu-Gi-Oh, I can appreciate cool combos that do just like crazy shutout stuff. Like
picking up a pot of greed and playing it over and over again and drawing all the cards.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I played against, I'm trying to find it. Are you familiar with Hidetsugu and Kairi?
Yes.
Played against someone where, they kind of gave us a heads up that they hadn't played the deck. They just built it. And so they didn't know if it would really work like the way that they thought. And then basically like had the capability to 1-turn kill us.
Really?
Yeah, it was. So basically, I'm trying to remember exactly. Essentially, what they were doing was they were creating token copies of Hidetsugu and Kairi. Legend rule, had to sack the token, and then would be able to like pick up cards off the top of their deck, burn each opponent, or burn one opponent at a time, maybe, and then cast.
Yes, its target opponent loses life equal to its mana value.
Yes.
It's not a bad idea to read this out. This is low-key one of the coolest legends from March of the Machine. It's 2 blue black for an ogre demon dragon 5/4 with flying. When this enters, when Hidetsugu and Kairi enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. So brainstorm, and then when Hidetsugu and Kairi dies, exile the top card of your library. Target opponent loses life equal to its mana value. If it's an instant or sorcery spell, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Whoo, buddy, that is spicy.
Yes.
That's fun.
And he had a lot of cards that would just recur and recreate the token and just like kept going and going. And that combo deck I thought was just the coolest thing ever. Like as he was playing and it just started like coming together, and he would like play cards that let him stack the deck, then he'd rearrange things, and then he'd flip it and it'd be like, okay, here's another token copier, let's do it all again.
It's another clone effect, and it's gonna hit you for another 4.
Yes, I thought that was so cool, and like I really do appreciate and like gameplay like that to a degree. I think that the point that you're making of like just knowing that's what you're getting into makes such a big difference, and granted, we didn't like I think Mythic Tools has this kind of like, it predetermines the bracket, it kind of looks at your list and then like has a function to do that.
Oh, well, that's fun.
But you can also like choose the bracket and override that, because he has it listed here as a bracket 2, and it did not feel like bracket 2 to me, but but I could be wrong. I don't know if it has
That's
any game
the thing.
changes.
The brackets are not perfect, and I wish, and it's one of those things that like we're never gonna get a perfect system because the difference between bracket 2 and 3 is not just the game changers and the availability of like, you know, some more I guess stacks being available, or some strategies that are less desirable, like extra turns and combo kills. Those become available to you in like sooner turns, and then also you're expected to play less turns in bracket 3 than in bracket 2. But if you're in bracket 2 and you're not meeting like the game changer list, you have no game changers, you have no extra turns, you're doing a lot of stuff that, you know, bracket 2 says is okay, but when you're checking out the synergy of it all, and all you need to do is play your commander and then play a copy spell, I think if that gets the chain going like crazy, this is a high synergy, and you can pilot it as a bracket 3. So it just is like, now that you know this deck, and now that they know this deck, will they be presenting it as like, technically it's built as a bracket 2, but I think that this hangs pretty successfully with bracket 3 and even maybe bracket 4, you know?
Right. Yeah, I know that's a good point. And he even said after after we got done with the game, because he demolished us very quickly because I didn't have any interaction of any kind, because I think I was playing Ashling that game. And so I really needed my turn to happen. But after he said, he's like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to be bringing this one back. Like, it was super, like it was super fun and super cool to see. I think that he kind of recognized that it was like, unless he's playing against like Travis with Stellar League Wildcard, I guess. I think that he recognized it felt just like a little crazy and
maybe
maybe
too tuned.
Yeah, right. And it probably, I think he was aware that it might not be fun for other people, even though me and the guy that were playing against him in that game, we were like stoked about it because it was really cool. It was really cool to see happen. Had never heard of that card before in my life.
I love a good spectacle. Let me tell you something. We're coming up on the end of the episode, and I think this is a fun way to like cap it out, because this is a positive note, and I think I'm going to co-opt your positive note, because this is still a story that you bring up here. The excitement that you can get seeing someone else's deck pop off is very important to this format. If you are upset at seeing anybody's deck do its thing, just because you're losing or like whatever, like have a little fun with it, and then get disappointed that things didn't go your way, and maybe like shuffle up that deck again and see it play again. But like now, here we are watching this Hidetsugu and Kairu deck non-deterministically like really hit some bangers and like really put in some work, and now it's like, oh, okay, I guess I didn't kill you all, but good luck from now on.
Yep.
And you're kind of like, how do we get out of this one? It's very exciting. It's also, the spectacle of it is so much fun. My co-host, Michael Celani, he talked about this on last week's episode, but he's got this Saheeli Sun's Brilliance deck where the goal is to make a copy of the card Booby Trap infinite amount of times, so that you can name every card in Magic enough times over for Booby Trap to kill the player when they reveal the card they draw that is named.
That's cool.
So very stupid, absolutely a menace, but to watch all the pieces fall into place was satisfying in a way that like, okay, well, I'm no longer playing, and that's disappointing. But I did just get this on impromptu jazz concert. You know what I mean?
That's okay, so spot on, yeah.
Let's get it. All right, I'm snapping my finger.
Yeah.
Look, did it ruin the conversation I was having with my buddy at the bar because the music is a little loud? We'll get back to that. We'll find that moment again. I'm not worried about us. This is a nice little bonus to my night. Okay, I can feel it. I dig it. Nice little snap along. Get some moments. They're doing a thing where you can't tell why it's funny, but everybody in the band started laughing.
Right.
Like I think Paul F. Tompkins used to do a bit about the jazz musicians being like, hey, you have the bassist will be like do 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 do, but then one point it'll be like do 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 bow, and then when it goes bow, everybody laughs like it's the funniest thing they heard. You know?
Yeah.
That's what I'm enjoying that part. You copying Booby Trap and naming all the cards like in this deck. I'm talking about Celani's deck. Like that's him hitting the bow. That to me is like what's making me laugh. And so it's the same kind of thing with this Hidetsugu and Kairi deck where it's like, let's see you go off. Let's see it happen.
Yeah.
You designed this. You made this happen. You put all the cogs in place.
Yep.
Make that thing crank. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good point too, of just like, yeah, like let them have their solo, let them riff a little bit, let them do their thing.
Let them riff a little bit.
Let them riff, and just enjoy the riff. You don't have to be mad at the riff, both in music and in.
Don't gotta be mad
Magic.
at no riff, baby. Come on now.
We love a riff.
Yeah, you do. You definitely love a riff. I mean, I think we should end it there. I think that's the perfect place to leave off. Tyler, I really appreciate taking the time and having a chat with me about Magic, about music, and shout out Stars Hollow. New listeners, I'm sure, from this podcast, give them a shot. The new album coming out, I think next week. If I did the calculations right, April 24th. Kind of hoping by Stars Hollow hits all platforms. Get into it. Have a listen to what I'm hearing is the thickest Stars Hollow album,
the thickest
in the repertoire, and I'm really looking forward to it. Go check out Casper. If the record comes out next week, go listen to Casper, or if they're fingers crossed, maybe other singles come out before it comes out. But Casper is really good, and get into the back catalog. Like I said, I've got a couple tunes on the playlist, and whenever they come up, I'm like, hell yeah, Stars Hollow, hell of a band. And I know you'll love them. Tyler, are there any parting words you want to leave my listeners with?
No, just let people riff. Enjoy the riff. I think that's that. And then, yeah, thank you so much for having me on. Because, yeah, like I'm fairly new to the game. Some of the stuff, like I said before, I think we started recording, like there's that imposter syndrome of like, do I deserve to be on a Magic the Gathering podcast?
Sure.
but no, like just super glad to be here and glad to be part of such an amazing game with so many amazing people in it.
That's what's up. And yeah, dude, the imposter syndrome thing, I totally get, but you're new to the game and that's exciting. Welcome to the game.
Thank you.
Being new to the game doesn't mean you don't have anything insightful to say about it. We got into a fun conversation. And also, it's my podcast. I make the rules. I like your band. Let's get to talking about this thing. I don't know. It feels like, hey, everything's so shitty out there. Sorry, Ken. If we could find a little bit of a way to make you smile, or like, hey, what are the chances that I'm going to get to talk to this guy that I like his band? All right, let's make that work.
Make it happen.
Let's talk a little bit about Magic. Why not? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Get out there, do what you like, enjoy the riff. Thank you, listeners. Shout out to all the Bolcuts out there. We'll be back with another episode next week, and it's time to scoot the day. Later.